Hello, hello, hello. This is Mohammed Shilon coming to you from North Carolina, USA. And today is June 4th, 2023. As usual, this is not a Sunday program of VOS. And my co-host, Mr. Victor Mengot, who will be coming to you people from England. So, but he needs no introduction. He will introduce himself. So I just want to make we just go over the basic rules. Usually, as the election they come close, we're going to be talking quite a bit about politics. So we're not getting any specific uh, uh, topic other than election related. We will deal mainly with the manifestos them of the major political parties and with observation and analysis. And as usual, we also know say this is an interactive kind of program. It's live. It's coming to you live wherever you may be in the world, so you can participate. And just as a reminder, once the program begins, we now get the lines are open. So if in the midst of us making our comments or giving commentary, somebody feel like calling, please go ahead and call. The control room will put you on hold, and we'll always try to make the control room, the callers them understand, say there is a 3 minute limit or limitation on all calls. So then we will give you, the buzzer will go on, then we'll give you a 15-second opportunity for wrap it up. So if you get a lot more for say other than the 3 minutes, 3 minutes is a long time if you really organize what you want to say or question what you want to ask. But if you're not able to get all your ideas them across, which is fine, just please call back so we can make room for others. Because if everybody go above 3 minutes, I always use the number 5. If there are 5 callers, let's say somebody called for 5 minutes, then the last caller will be on the line for at least 20 minutes before we can get to them. And then it's kind of hard to just hold for 20 minutes without thinking whether we still have you online or not. So for make sure say everything runs smoothly, let we all able to get a point across. I think if we follow the basic rule, that will help we all. Call, put forward your points within 3 minutes. The buzzer will alert you that your 3 minutes are up. And if the 3 minutes not sufficient, just call back just for the line. We will get back to you. Okay? Now, you will also know say this will get certain numbers now we can like forgive the audience for reach we, just in case, depending on where they're calling from. So if you're calling on our toll-free number, it's 1-866-944-7722. 1-866-944-7722. If you're calling from the UK, it's plus 44 2080891455. Again, from the UK, it's plus 44 2080891455. If you're calling from Australia, it's plus 61 2909 84337. From Australia, plus 61 2909 84337. And of course, if you're calling on WhatsApp, you call on 1-343-997-5828. 1-343-997-5828. So with that said, I go pass it over to my co-host, Mr. Victor Mengom, will go introduce himself, as that's our usual pattern. And then he also does touch on which we'll get for discuss today. Then we'll move on. So back to you, Mr. Mengot.
Well, family, in a good evening, good morning, afternoon, Usa in a day. Me with join for present this program, me na Victor Akumengot, as you know, based in London, in the UK. and I always happy for engage with people them. And today, what we want to look at, we want to look at manifesto. And as my co-host don't say, this na election time, we get for discuss a lot of things about manifesto. We don't see even the past government or the current government before President Biokana power even get a manifesto. There was a lot of things that we say about it. And recently, we hear he say if you take them from A to Z, you don't do all what he been promised na a manifesto. But today, not to that to the can look whether he don't do them or he not do them. We dey look at examples. Then we get the APC manifesto because now President Bio gets a 5-point strategy. 5 things the way he say he want give priority. Because he said the last term, education na be number 1 priority, but this term, agriculture na one of the priorities in the 5. The APC on the other hand, the incumbent, Dr. Samoa Kamara, say he get a 12 points. That things the way he feel to say na go make life better for we people them. Then apart from that, the civil society them, they have come together. They get their own manifesto, what they call the Citizens Manifesto. Of course, the women themselves, they get their own Women's Manifesto. So waiting a manifesto, not broken down. Manifesto now a document where any political party can prepare for say, this now we policy. This now what we intend for do for manage the economy and make life better for people them. But we must realize say they don't get no law we say in our constitution we say when a party gets a manifesto, it get for do what he say. So it's not a legally binding contract. We can call it a social contract. Now an agreement for say, well, listen, this is what I stand for. This is what you're going to get if you put me in a power. So waiting all this thing about the manifesto. The manifesto now like a mirror where political party then they say, look into this mirror. See what you ready for Guinea. So rather than go into the individual manifesto, we get 5 common themes then, what we call thematic areas then. We now want to discuss this evening and go through them, look at, we go judge them from the part of waiting the challenges that when the APC been do during years, give examples, waiting SLPP do during the 5 years, and as usual, not for just discuss more, when we don't do the analysis, we go actually make one suggestion of how things will be better. So the 5 areas that we talk about, 1, the first area, na access to justice. Because even in a coat of arms, the 3 words are unity, freedom, and justice. And if we not get justice, people are not able to live their life. The second area we common, now what we call employment. You can be a self-employed person, you can be employed by government, you can be employed by business. Because without employment, people are not able to get the money then for their yams and everything. Then they common to all the party manifesto there. The third one, basic people they talk now, bread and butter business, which is food security. We all need for it. Then the next one, a well body business, health. And then the final area we will talk about, now the economy, business environment, the value of the loans, because these are all things the way it common to all theme. So for start, now we waiting there, we get area of interest, me and my co-host, we get knowledge and expertise. He don't be a lawyer for over 46 years. Myself don't practice my profession in transport on different areas, in working in parliament, working in local government, working for international organization for almost 46 years. So if you take account, we bring in a combined experience of over a century. But also, we not get monopoly to knowledge. In ourselves, where they listen to we, in again, I own experience them. So one make this program as interactive as possible. Yeah. One learn from learn ourselves learn from we. Whatever we say, your opinion will go take them. But let will be civil, as we can always say. You understand? And we go try as best as possible. Politics, na a battleground. But let we try for be objective, because what would they do? Not for APC, not for SLPP, not for PMDC, not for C4C, not for Mama Salon and Papa government. So with this introduction, I will bring my co-host now. We're going to start from your experience for talk about access to justice. We'll talk about access to justice. We start from the police, from the time we get plaba, we go report in a police station. We talk about the courts, how they deal with cases, and so other thing. They'll talk about prison where they don't change their name to correctional services now. So even when they wait for trial or they don't sentence you, they get for protect your dignity. And just for roundup, we will get the Mandela rules for treatment of prisoners. And I shall say me co-host go on that. It talk about respect for the dignity of prisoners. It talk about medical and health services for them. It talk about how they discipline prisoners them. Then also complaints and independence thing. And also the tolerance, the treatment of prisoners. So that in the last end. So with that introduction, I can now hand it over to our legal luminary. Although they can say that they no more call learned gentleman, because an Englishman I ain't talk that word. Say na lawyer and a learned gentleman. So let pass you on to we experienced man, where they come with over nearly 50 years of experience for talk about this access to justice and what it mean for people. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mingot. And with respect to the law, which has always been not only my area of expertise, but I'm a profession nowadays, and being an American trained lawyer, and when I say American trained within the tradition of the law within the United States of America. So I've been at all levels over the years. So with the amount of experience I get, I've always wondered if I could ever get the opportunity, either by which would do so, or in any way, shape, or form, for make substantial contribution to the legal system, of which I see so much wrong and see so much room where we can be able to improve the system. Because for those who've been listening to me over the years on this show, I've always said, or I always say, not till we all go into politics. There is not enough lane for we all. And there are many things we can do. Some people then can come in just with ideas and try for help the current condition in the country. Some people then can come with professional ideas for see what difference they will make in medicine, in law, in engineering, in teaching, in everything. And some of we see no other way but to go into politics, whatever you think your calling might be. But I've always maintained the position that politics in general, your calling should not be for either for get power or for get in the position of getting rich, whether in a quick, rich, or long term. If your motivation are for go into politics, for get money and get power, you are heading in the profession of politics for the wrong reason. Because the reality is you are not going to be able to serve the people. And let's realize say politics na service after all is said and done. Now going back to the manifesto, because I don't want to stray too much. We political system. The system itself needs changes. So much wrong with the system. We have not tried to make substantial changes to our political system, even starting from how we nominate, we candidate them with political symbol. Because if we look at the situation as it is in Sierra Leone, the people actually don't elect the leaders. It's the party that elect the leaders for the people. Because right now, as we see the situation, APC already there was no convention by which the people actually participate. When I mean the people, like the membership. So, but APC says Samura Kamara is the one to run against President Bio. So that be it. So there is no room for new candidates for do like what you would call in America the primary system. Again, I don't want to go into that. I just want to make note of the primary system, which I think for the emerging democracies, we on democracy could be even better than America if we are committed to the cause. But you see, the primary system, after all is said and done, is the best system because it could provide the leadership we want. We will not get for begin look at, hey, who da turn this, or this is a flag bearer, or this person don't pay sweat and tears for the party. No, the primary system eliminates all of that. And the other thing about the primary system, where we for understand, if me, Mohammed Shilon, a millionaire, or if I get a lot of money, and I want to run for APC or SAPP symbol, all I have to do is go home, give the party a lot of money, then go give me a symbol. So I could step over all the other people who might have even better political or leadership capability than me. But because I get money, I can go there, they can give me the symbol. Is that good for the country? I don't think so. Because ideas is what changes country, not money can help along the way. But now the vision, the idea of where the person wants to take the country now count. But the way we get to system now, right from the beginning, right from the creation, it creates corruption because you can go bribe the leadership. Now either party or now all the parties them forget the symbol and there you go, Bob, you get a symbol even if you don't get no history of having any affiliation with the party. So at the church on Enchinendele, we begin to understand. So if we are committed, I also want to remind people and to say, this will show we consider ourselves Sierra Leoneans. We not consider ourselves APC, we not consider ourselves SFPP, we not consider ourselves Minde, we not consider ourselves Creole. If somebody asks me, say, what in your tribe? Me na Sierra Leonean. What in your nationality? Me na Sierra Leonean. That's what matters to me. So I look at everything from the vision of what is good for Sierra Leone and what can move forward. All this pettiness with the APC, the SFPP, the party symbol, all it does is just cover the real problem. So we therefore begin to look at internet. Like Nicole say, there is a lot that can be said. So I'd like to touch on the internet. So today I just talk briefly on the manifesto we didn't talk about, one of which now the delivery of legal services to the ordinary people or to the population. So I want fellow begin to understand that aspect today. And within the judiciary, we get, or within the legal system, we get the office of the Attorney General, we get office of the Chief Justice, we get then in conjunction with the offices and because the Chief Justice in office, the Attorney General in office, they not get any power. If they not get any power without enforcement power. So then there comes the police. Now the police get the power for enforce whatever order the courts might issue. And then comes the prison system. The prison system, they're within the judicial system in the sense that if people have been convicted for one reason or another, You get a prison system where people may be sent for served time, for make up for the wrong way they don't do. But again, like Creoman say, if marriage will switch, now the bachelor's if you will know. We have to start addressing them fundamental issues there because we policies in Australian they are terrible. Let's start with the prison system. Before we even get into how people in the prison, look at the current prison system. Look at Freetown, for example, Pademba Road Prison. You're talking about a prison that is about 120, 150 years old. It needs modernization in terms of physical structure in every way, shape, or form. Is anybody talking about that? Is anybody trying to modernize the prison? Oh, talk about modernization. We get to realize that prisoners are human beings like we. Just because the person is in prison doesn't mean he's not entitled to, in addition to constitutional protection, fundamental human right. Is entitled to the human dignity. But we don't attach too much significance on that because I need not address the current condition in Pademba Road and we prisons them around the country. Prisoners are in this day and age, in a hot country like Sierra Leone, we don't think say prisoners the room which are in the sleep should be air conditioned. You ask the question, why not? Aren't they human beings? They didn't ask to be where they are. So if the system feel it necessary to put them in prison, the system should carry out the obligation for make them live comfortably, while they are there. So you get prisoners living, sleeping on top of prisoners. Then you look at the overall facilities. First of all, the legal system is so bad. People over 50 or more percent of prisoners, they don't get any business for going to prison. We therefore incorporate into system, probations, community service. There are a lot of ways people can make amends with the system. But we therefore do that in a day if we understand the system. One of the problems we see in Australia, we get all them big and talk there about, we get all them big talk here about manifestation or manifesto. That's fine. But who are the people really who are dealing with these things? We are not talking about people who understand what a prison system is, what a court system is. And with the way, at the rate all lawyers in Australia would train them, the exposure to more sophisticated legal system, it's almost getting worse. So do we expect the current condition, the current Australian for
really where they talk about prison, so I want to let you rub much on this small because you don't talk them. Say prison will be they call and jealous prison, but then change the name to correct services. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you don't change the name to correction, yeah, what did that mean? If you say a correctional services, now a facility for correctional services, what in the people the way they go there and the one the way they manage them expect and they're supposed for let it be the right thing, say now a correctional service now for let you repent or you refrain from crime and for make sure say if you done your sentence you become a good. I'll let you explain that to people then.
Okay. Now, with respect to the correctional, you see, again, we say we are good at copying. But what we're not good at, when we copy, we're not good at implementing because we don't understand what you would copy. Sometimes we're fascinated by names, like the phrase correctional service. Yeah, in the United States, that's what most prisons are referred to as correctional department. In fact, like there in North Carolina, we then say Department of Corrections. But what that implies, the implication of that name there is that when you go in, then they try to correct your bad behavior. What make you go there in the first place? So then others will go and punish you and starve you and make you sleep in a hot condition because that's not correcting somebody in behavior. There are tutorials. There's educational process within the prison. Some will get situations where people in the go prison, they not even start secondary school by the time they come out. They get secondary school education, they get degrees. What people in the obtain degree while you are in prison. or while you are in detention. And there is a distinction uh, between the detention and correctional service. Because when they detain you, that could just be a temporary holding awaiting your trial. And in that respect, normally they don't send you to the correctional facility. They send you to a detention. We now will get what you call detention facility. So you are being detained because you have committed a crime for which you've not been prosecuted, but for which a date has been set, for which you've been accorded a lawyer and a date certain for go to trial, and of which, if you are convicted, and to win a conviction doesn't necessarily mean imprisonment. Conviction can lead to probation. Probation is an entirely different aspect. Conviction can lead to community service, and conviction could lead also to active jail time. Okay, but the system is designed to correct your activity. So if you go there for murder, if you go there for rape, they don't want to throw the book at you, but they want to make sure, say, and teach you about respect for women, and in this day and age, for respect for men, and then teach you certain things, then certain do's and don'ts. And if you get irresistible impulse will make you commit all of that, then they teach you all them values. So when you come out of the prison, you will get more knowledge without a doubt, 10 times more than you had, if not 100 times more than you had before you go in. So then they would help to guide you because you come back into society, and then they try for where you come back to society before be able to fit in. There are some people where they go prison, where they come out, that then take it as a badge of honor, then will tell you about how much they've learned and how that has made a difference in their life. But now we just take the name correctional facility, which in a way is applicable to prison. It's true. But I just wonder if the ones that work out with the name, because we're so fascinated by names, the other thing what we need to do, we need to stop the practice of, if we revamp with prison, you can't just take a bunch of lawyers in Australia and a bunch of judges and put in a committee and say that they recommend. Because how do we know these judges know anything about corrections? How do we know the judges? These judges are just given the power to sentence people, some of whom have never even visited a jail or a prison. Then judges there. So there are a lot of things. And then even when you design the courthouse and the courtrooms, now judges to participate. You get judges then where they try for help, the architect for designs, from the cell within the whole people then, to the courtroom, and to everything. We'll get a lot of infusion of ideas. We'll just not assume, say, judges know it all, lawyers know it all, because Australian our mentality down there. In a country where once you've attained a degree as a doctor, as a lawyer, you presume to be educated for life, no continuing legal education, what we badly need, because how exposed are our lawyers? How sophisticated is our legal system? How much are we striving to let the legal system progress or improve? In fact, the trend is we try to let the system not improve at all. And people who are familiar with the system in Sierra Leone know what I'm talking about, So that doesn't help a country. So going back to what Mr. Mengon say, and I'm trying so hard not to be long-winded and not for stray, this thing about correction, the basic idea, what I call the system, a correctional system, now for correct your behavior. The behavior will land you in a prison. And one quick comment where I get for make. We'll get for even begin for redo and go over. Because I just say maybe 70% of what lands people in prison in Sierra Leone are unnecessary for people and for going to prison for. And it helps the system. First of all, we cannot afford for feed them prisoners here. We cannot afford to give them the health care what they need. And yet we just continue for the lock people them up left and right. So what do we need to do? We need for level judges to understand that the system is interconnected. So you cannot just be a judge, when they hold somebody like LAJ for driving off because they say not pay for gasoline, you will give the man 5-6 years in prison. That is not only nonsensical, it's ridiculous. Why do you want to take a person in freedom away for 5 or 6 months? You say, okay, now the act. The act of what? The act of being fraudulent? Because you can't lose sight of if somebody go chief fall, now fraud down there or na crime, you think he deserve for go prison for let them lock him up for even a day because he chief chicken? Or will the system be better served for say, okay, you plead guilty, or if they find you guilty, say, okay, that fall day, would I be get them almost the chicken cost. If you don't get the money, then go give you time for pay for them, for people and for begin pay, which we call restitution. But we are not working on the system, and all the little thing they need, then they help the country. But we not just the big name number, oh, a lawyer this, lawyer that. We are not capable. It's time for us to begin for bring in external experts. We will not get the capability for just speaking. When we talk about Mr. Mengot go talk about like Constitutional Review Committee, we keep doing this to ourselves. We need people from abroad in conjunction with the ones that we'll get. Because we have to accept certain things. We don't get constitutional scholars in Australia. We don't. Constitution is a new thing. But we want to pretend like for say we know people that would teach constitution at Oxford, na Harvard, na Yale. This is superfluous, it's superficial. It helps nobody. We are still struggling with the 1991 Constitution because we get a lot of hands into it who well-educated people. Another question in credential at all, except that they don't get expertise in drafting Constitution. They may be well
qualified. Thank you very much. I not say you don't start from bottom up. You start from the lower end when at the prison side. Now go to the middle now, the court system.
Okay.
And then most people when they talk about access to justice. When somebody go to court, we get boku organization in another country. We have legal aid, right? We get other people the way they campaign. People are concerned about the systems and procedures within the court system. For instance, we were in the diaspora. We get experience of land grabbing. People take you land, we go, court case, they take 10 years. Then also when people are going to court, we get things like guarantee of bail for the one and the. So from your experience, how we go improve the administration of the court system, the court system at tongue, in terms of dispensation of justice, things bail, and things to do with actually even the lawyer themselves where they go represent people. Because if you're not able to afford lawyer, I'm sure in your own place, the states forget a system where they can give you legal representation. You go expand this more.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now we understand, say, in we own legal system in Australia, which is the same system we get now, and I always want to make clear to people. Let we not forget, say, people can say, oh, America law different. No, America law not different. The people that can establish the legal system now, then get more linkage with the British and the British system than we Australians. Okay? When they come to England, when they Canada, they establish a system where they'll serve them all this time, based on the Magna Carta, based on the common law, the British common law. And even in this state where I live, to this day, the statute in America, North Carolina, say all laws that are not covered by the Constitution or statute of the state of North Carolina are covered by the common law of England to this day. So to this day, then still they charge people of this state of North Carolina common law robbery, such as, okay? So the Americans are not get rid, and don't forget, say North Carolina, one of the original 13 American colonies. These are straight out Englishmen that we come in England, Canada. Not like we will come up with local, Cambia, Kamakwie, what we think say we are Englishman. These are real English white people. Where can I have from England straight? We establish a system based on the system we then get under, but then get enough sense for say they cannot put a square peg in a round hole. So when they come to America, then get for design a system who will serve them well. We don't know. Now the granting of bail. When a person is charged with a crime, you always get a magistrate or a judge who will make an assessment as to whether this person should be detained, and if so, how much money we could put for controlling external behavior until it goes to trial. But we not get, like we now, we get guidelines for judges then for impose bail. We get guidelines. We get a bonding system. We got bondsmen. So when they put you on, like say, 1 million leon bail, you get somebody, you get what you call professional bondsmen or women who will come, then go stand for you, say, okay, release that Monday and sign the necessary paper. This 1 million leon, I stand say, if you not show up in a court, I go make sure say we catch them, and within the time allowed, then go give me time for pay for that 1 million day. So that man they say that defendant today, he go probably pay that bondsman 100,000 leon for the man in chance where they take for him. So we get bondsmen, you pay on 10%, you're out. But that bondsman then I don't take the responsibility for say when court date come, you go in a court. Because if you not come in a court, ain't go to look for you, the system put the burden on them. Okay, that's one. We need for training with system like that. So it's not gonna be a lopsided thing whereby if you poor, or if you not get somebody like a boss man, or if you not get a friend, they're not gonna able to bail you. That right then from the beginning, let we get equal access. Let there be professional bondsmen. So if you want to pay 10%, for example, like you people are not get them, maybe 2-3 people are going to come up with able to pay the bondsman 100,000 leons for get you out. So that would be an improvement of the system. So when you go in at the system, we'll get to make sure say then give you lawyer, depending on the nature of the crime. But you don't have to have a lawyer. You only have to be told that you get a right to a lawyer. Normally, the court will make an examination, then go tell you, say, Winaya, if na crime will go lead you, not jail. If you get if the crime will go make you lose your right, what you would do now? The judge will make known to you for say, okay, what you then charge you with? If they find you guilty, the judge, any judge, can choose for give you active time, meaning you for go prison, or not. So the judge will make you know, say, because of the nature of that charge, you will be advised to have a lawyer, either by you getting a lawyer or the system will provide a lawyer for you. But then make sure say you not proceed without a lawyer, because there's a possibility that you will lose your freedom. So judges take up the time, they explain that to you, then they tell you, then say, okay, that said, do you still want to go ahead? And because some people can say, I don't want lawyer, I go represent myself. Some people can say, I don't want state appointed lawyer, I go hire my own lawyer. So the judge want to make it clear, so you get a right to do all of that. But that, so now the preliminary proceedings done, the judge set the foundation. So you next go around where you kind of the court system. You get, when you come back the second time, you already get a lawyer, either a lawyer where you hire or lawyer where the state provide for you. Now these are all some of the things that we can we'll learn. When they give you the lawyer, when the state provide a lawyer for you, there's another condition. If you are found not guilty, you owe the state nothing. But if the state appointed lawyer, after representing you, you are found guilty or you end up pleading guilty, then you owe the state reimbursement. You will have to pay the state whatever they pay the lawyer. And there is a table for that. Lawyers are just not being paid because, say, if you're not court-appointed lawyer, for a case where somebody can hire you, you will charge $1,000 for example. The system will say, well, by we own table or by we own guideline, we can only pay you maximum of $200 because one, we think say as a lawyer, now you own contribution and to society. Two, if the state pay every lawyer $1,000, there will not be enough money for sustain that kind of expenditure there. So the court, they're going to figure them out, say, if you represent somebody for, let's say you chief chicken or fall, now $200, maybe maximum, then go pay the lawyer, or now $200 per hour, then go pay the lawyer. But we'll get guidelines. So a lawyer doesn't the kind of money say, well, I put 1,000 hours on the case, expect for get big money. We're going to say, no, this is not for make money. This is not for help let the system work. Okay, so this is not your own contribution. So once then, when I go through that, and when the person comes to court the next time, it's well represented. Another system what we need in our country. This is all trying to improve the system. Okay, we need for be able to differentiate cases in which people there are no genuine issues of material fact or law for which either side can disagree. So if the defendant still say it don't do wrong, and it actually was caught red-handed, that doesn't say when I go get for first time make it plead guilty, because pleading guilty not pleading guilty not necessarily mean you not commit the crime. You can commit the crime and plead not guilty because the state is being held to a standard of proof. And sometimes the state may not have the necessary witness for proof saying that you thief watching and say you thief. And they may not be able to go forward with a case. And because of that, they may be forced to drop the case because they cannot prosecute you genuinely. And you cannot be forced to admit against your interest, say, yes, achieve the fall. So all of this not possible if lawyers are not there in the beginning, right from the start. So these are some of the things that then we now, you will get lawyers like me, we will go talk to experienced lawyers like me, and new lawyers. We'll get seminars, we'll get ongoing seminars, of lawyers talking to lawyers, of lawyers who develop expertise in defending certain cases. So if you develop the expertise in defending murder cases, then things that I experienced that you for share them. You for share them with the rest of the bar. So those interested in defending murder cases for kind of listen and think of your technique. But we all engineer will throw on the wayside. But we expect the system for be like America, for be like England, for be like Canada. Well, it doesn't work like that. Because the system needs ongoing attention, ongoing improvement, ongoing technique, sharpening of skills. And one other major thing, we get the feeling say, every lawyer for be a courtroom lawyer. Not so. Because some lawyers are not cut out to be trial lawyers. We know what you call trial lawyers. And trial technique is very, very important. Trial technique, very important. We will not make that distinction there. In fact, in some law schools now, then they teach what you call practice, legal practice, how you handle a case from the beginning to end or before a jury in a courtroom. So there are lots and lots and lots and lots of things. So when we see the manifesto here, when people talk about justice, a lot of them, they just put it there, but they can't tell you, if you ask them in detail, say, okay, what do you mean by this? How do you intend to dispense justice to the general public? And you cannot have justice if the Chief Justice, the one what they call the Chief Justice, doesn't have the power to dispense justice. That's another thing, So you cannot have a Chief Justice who's always worried about his job security, who serves at the pleasure of the president. So if we are serious about changing the system, you want people like Dr. Samura Kamara them, President Bio them, wait for the talk about waiting and see wrong with the system and how to change them. Not for us come and throw all them platitude there at we. Oh, we'll go do this, we'll go do that. No, we'll go for in detail. So that's why, like in America now, all the presidential candidates then get experts in certain fields where they give them all the detail. And the news people are very astute. Now, yeah, of course, we get news people who are pro certain political party. But overall, if we try for improve the system, so we know improvement not for only be by name change. The facility where would house prisoners them, I mean, they are terrible all over the country. And last but not least, again, one comment for make, it was not until the European Union begin for tell we say we prison system need improvement. Until the European Union begin for tell we say there are people who have been in prison or who have been in detention, not even prison, because prison, the word prison only applicable after you've been tried and convicted and you're serving your time. But there are people who are in detention in a prison facility like Pademba Road who've never gone to trial, have never been found guilty of any crime. For years they've been sitting there. Okay? Now, we want to make all this big talk. Now the white man, the European Union, now then they tell we say, hey, we're not the truth when our people in right. When I get so many of them locked up in a prison, when one day they not even charge them, we will not forget about. The same European Union will get ready, we want for cry them down. Okay? And we just not care about we young people then because they don't get the connection. We cannot sustain a system where you forget a pool. We want a system, a legal system where everybody forget equal access, okay, to the justice system. But Chief Justice and his staff are powerless because they serve at the pleasure of the president. So if a president is serious about improving the legal system, you start off with two main offices, the Attorney General's office and the Chief Justice's office. To give the Chief Justice the power we need, you give the security we need. Either he's appointed for life or can be fired only for cause. That way, say, not subject to, or he serve as Chief Justice for a particular term, 7 year, 10 year. But until we start making that kind of a pronouncement today in our country, you see, for we will listen to their manifesto talk there, they're not getting any meaning because we see how they're not even able to implement things. Okay? But, and you're not going to know how bad the system is until you get caught up in the system. I give you one last thing,
Yes,
then I
sir.
go back. Then I go back. One last thing, I want to point out to Mr. Mengo. There was a recent incident where some of you people might know about or may have seen, in Sierra Leone, which I think is very shameful. A certain gentleman who lives in the United States, where get Osna Badin Road Junction, he go into negotiation with NP, National Petroleum, for selling property, now Badin Road Junction, now Wilkinson Road, for $550,000. No string attached. They work the thing out. The lawyer said for NP, this man with junior lawyer, them, everything worked out. I think NP was supposed to pay him in 2 or 3 installments. A lady by the name of Marcella Jones, I have to call the name so we're going to see this is not a rare thing, from nowhere, who was never a party to the transaction at all, who once upon a time may have served on the board of trustees for NP, got a wind of this deal. She was not a party to the deal at all. The deal will be just 2-party deal, the seller and NP, the buyer. This man say, he sit in America, he get a letter from Marcella Jones, say, oh, by the way, I can help you do this for facilitate the sale. So in fact, I was busy doing that, so you owe me $75,000. So the guy said, 75,000 what? I don't even know you. Who are you? He said, well, he be involved in need for be paid for in services. Man say, how? I don't even know you. You were not a party to this transaction. Next thing, they knew Marcella get a lawyer, will take the matter to this so-called commercial court. You get a Judge Taylor who sat on it. Immediately, Judge Taylor asks that $50,000 of the money be held in escrow for this Marcella awaiting the outcome. And the guy said, how can that be? I don't know this woman. And the guy claimed that even when the case was set, which I think the first thing the judge should have inquired is what we call service of process. The judge should have inquired, is this seller aware of this court date and the nature of this thing? Tell me how una serve am in America. It's in America. How did you effect service? I am not saying the judge did not do that, but it doesn't appear as if the judge did that. He just went right into taking some of the money, you know. So which to me deal a serious blow to the legal profession of Sierra Leone. Because if we're proud of the legal profession, if the bar is proud of the profession, they should not tolerate lawyers like this woman, a lawyer. We get the audacity for go file a frivolous, that's what we call a frivolous lawsuit, baseless lawsuit, all because he thinks there will be a kickback somewhere. Lawyers should know that they will get a license suspended, if not disbarred, because this is unethical behavior. Okay, we would talk for improve the system, but this woman was able to get a lawyer who was able to file legal papers in the system, who was able to get the system for almost take thousands of dollars from this man. This is someone who had nothing to do with the system. This Marcella Jones. And this is a light thing when I can check out. So shame on the lawyers, they will do that. If not this country, they will go after your license. And it's about time, Sierra Leone, would there are situations where certain lawyers are even forging the signature of dead judges. How can the system allow that? So there is a lot wrong. Not only the politicians, not only the BO and the Samura Kamara. We at the lower level, we break the system, bad one. Lawyers don't want to pay any price. Doctors don't want to pay any price. Teachers don't want to pay any price. But we want a good system. It doesn't work like that. Back to you, Mr. Mango.
Okay, thank you very much. I think what I will ask you, don't go much and small. But now one thing, say this with program, I'll say a lot of listeners them, sure we have a caller on the line. Let's listen to that caller first before we continue.
Okay. Hello, caller. What's your name? Side to call from. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Caller. Caller, are you on the line? Well, back to you, Mr. Mango. The caller.
Okay.
May call back.
Just quick thing for roundup. We know so we get people all over the Sierra Leone. Because one thing, as I say, we all come different. You hear me clearly?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. We all come for different purposes. And one of the things where a lot of Sierra Leoneans aspire to, now forget that property back home. You don't touch it now, right? And a lot of the cases they get, especially for people in the diaspora, now land cases where people they go buy land, other people they can't claim them, then case they take some of the cases and they take 10 years in a court. So how do we improve the system? You just talk about a fast track commercial court. So how do we improve the system for dispense justice to them people here? Because some at times we realize say some people they don't complain say the law themselves and they connive with the judges then. I cannot substantiate it, but that is what people's opinion are. For let them delay the case. The more they delay the case, the more money the lawyer they make. And some man don't die safe before in case come up. But then we get alongside the bar association, when the law and disciplinary body, how they go work together with the courts for make sure say we not get this long delay in land cases. They go lawyers them like the one where you cite.
Okay. I have an idea based upon what me accustomed to. And I know say if you walk now, you go walk back home. First of all, part of your legal education which is part of legal education here, is professional ethics. They'll start there. You get there are certain ethical behavior below which if you fall, you will get into trouble. So we know that. So then, even when you become a licensed practicing attorney, you are required every year as an experienced lawyer, even me as an experienced lawyer, 47 years, I'm still required to take, as long as I remain active in law practice, I am required to take professional ethics every year, at least 2 hours of professional. So I get for go seminar. I get for go sit down like classroom. Despite me 47 years of experience, and I may be listening to a young lawyer where it's only 5 years in the bar, but my expertise down about ethics, I get for go listen to her. I get for show say I attend, then get for send me name to the bar for confirm say I attended. If I not go, I miss that 2 year that 2 hour day. The year roll around, then get a very effective system. What they do? Go and check. Then she say then go contact me. Say Mr. Shillong will find out for say you short of ethics. You not take them. So we'll give you till certain time for take them. If I not go take that ethics course day and show proof that I don't take them, then go suspend my license. They're not play. So we all know that. The other thing we talk about professional ethical behavior, just like how you mentioned just now when they talk, say, and this is not a word around town, and people know what they're talking about. That lawyers, they get a cabal of sometimes even judges who are involved in swinging
I
cases.
think so.
Because
We call her, don't come back. Let's see if we can get her.
all right. Hello, caller. What's your name? Who's you to call from?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Controller, the caller is back.
Yeah. He's talking now. Okay. Abdul, we're not hearing you clearly.
Oh, yeah. Mina Abdul, I started call from Maryland.
Yeah, but you're not coming across as clear as we will expect. Yeah.
Yeah, will you get?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. With regard to the topic when I put up the comparing the two manifestos, I think so when I try for juxtapose the two manifestos and see which one realistic. Waiting are some of the aspects in the manifestos the way realistic, and which one they're not realistic for achieve either in the short, medium, or long term as both parties they propose. But for me own experience, where I people say now majority of Sierra Leoneans since the inception of multi-party democracy in 1996 up till now, the basic necessity we supposed to get now Sierra Leoneans is supposed to get we the UNDP goals and development goals when reduction of poverty, because they always speak to that reduction of poverty, food security, health, affordable health facility, quality education or free education for all, as the goals say, then providing affordable and pure drinking water, then energy, internet connectivity. Then now we have infrastructure, good roads. I think in the inception of multi-party democracy up to this point, the politicians say they're not able to achieve anything when they always they in black and white, then they promise them, but they're not able to achieve it. I think now some of them things then our level speak to them, some of them things and the way because the both parties manifestos they speak to their issues and because these are the basic issues where Sierra Leoneans they are in need of at this moment. Not until waiting for grasp that all other things are nothing to do with for achieve. I just say for that call for I just remind you now. Let we see if those things that are in the manifestos either they are realistic to be achieved or not realistic to be achieved. Thank you.
Yes, and let respond to the caller. We consider that, you understand. We look at the manifestos. So we are approach, because if you listen into the introduction, we talk about manifestos, then whether they are legally binding, na social contracts, and whatever people like able discern from their manifesto today. So we deliberately choose 5 thematic areas we come on to all the manifestos, because not just APC or SLPP, because you get the Citizens Manifesto, you get the Women's Manifesto. We deliberately look at and say, okay, how do we consider these issues? First of all, like how me and my co-hosts they do, we bring examples of things the way they happen. Where is the problem, right? Because the manifesto, most of them you see, they don't identify the problem. It's just saying, okay, we will do A, we'll do B. We decide to take a different approach to say, okay, where is the problem, right? From your experience, how do we fix the problem? So now that's what we try to do. I think so. We'll get another caller on the line.
Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you call from? Hello, caller. Caller. Hello, caller.
Yeah,
Caller,
me
what's
they
your
get
name?
clear. Wanna they get me?
Now we get
Yeah,
you.
we get
We
you.
get
We
you.
get you. Yeah.
Okay, me na Omar they call from Switzerland.
Hello, Omar. Thanks for calling.
Okay, okay. Concerning the manifesto, okay. You see, Mr. Shilom, that country will still up and play. All these cosmetic ratings we them put together, we didn't try for full Sierra Leoneans are all not just like business.
Mhm.
Waiting na this pillar way, then they try for confuse people away no go school with. We don't need too much pillar. Sierra Leone need only one pillar, the national manifesto, one agenda for each and every political party. But when this party come account to your agenda, they go with your own. When this party account to your agenda, at the end of the day, confuse we the ordinary Sierra Leoneans. We need a national manifesto, a national agenda based on developmental programs we're going to that country. We don't need 3, 4, 5 different manifestos. That's now one. And two, if they even genuine about the manifesto, why them for count and die minutes? Now campaign and go campaign to follow vote for them, but all now for can't explain to the manifesto. Why you go count manifesto barely 4 weeks to election? Waiting at their own plan. You see, so I don't think that we go for we safe, we go for serious with yourself. You know, all this book where they go put, you go make book, you go write almost 100 and something pages. And you expect people and for go sit down, read down there at the same time, you they disturb them with campaign around the corner. So we know even serious with we own business. So now my contribution until we come together, we get a national agenda, a manifesto based on national agenda. One manifesto now we need our country. If APC can the walk out, we said entire the left arm, we SLPP can and take them. Now that then a development. But where this country today, them build road. Whether other come tomorrow and say, that road it cost we then spend too much money, the road no good. Why we not go get one agenda for each and every political party? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, before you call Mr. Shilon, just quick response to this man, the caller. In fact, what you say now we dey try for do rather than say we take them 5 key areas that we common to all the manifestos. Them say these are the concerns of our people, and I can repeat them for the one that we not been doing at the beginning of the show. Access to justice, yeah, that justice system, whether they deal with police or they deal with court system. The next area where a common, when a national agenda, where they talk about, we can go there next. Now, employment opportunities, them, whether you be self-employed, you're employed, or you're a businessman. Because if you not get work, you're not able to get money for provide for your family them. That's common, a national agenda. The third area we want to talk about, now we think Creole man call the yayam business, food, where the last government been talk saying a bread and butter, because we don't use that bread and butter. The thing for it, right? Angry in the country, because we remember the last campaign, we no talk about campaign slogan. The music will be come out, Cholombono de Sidoya angry boku. Then it resonates with the ordinary man. But when the one day we been tell we say angry boku come, some of who don't go salon for the past 5 years, then come with a new one say the ground dry. You understand? The ground dry means to say when ground dry, it means a plant self no they grow. So that food business, that's the way people and it, now common national agenda. Then we talk about well-body business, health. Then the number 5 we also want to talk about, now the economy. All man know about dollar now. The government don't say some place then day where you go pay dollar. Right? Now even the one where they sell ogiri, where increase in price is not because dollar don't go up. Who say ogiri and dollar get their fumble? So now that's what they try for do. Well, anyway, thank you. I don't know if my fumble want Rob Mott on this. You don't talk about the law. We get another caller on the line. Today we are very busy. Yeah.
Hello, caller. What's your name? What's where you call from? Hello, caller. What's your name? What's where you call from? Hello, caller. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you call from? Okay, I think we can move on in case the caller come back on the line.
For this access to justice, because we get other topics then. I say you don't start from the bottom, you don't start from the correctional service, you don't talk about the courts. Now look into the one way, the justice part where everybody get access to, then our police. And I give a preamble why they talk about this police business. We all get example. Now, if you get crime, we get number them where you for call different police station them. You go call police, then get a number, then go tell you say they not get vehicle for kind of the crime scene. They not get vehicle for kind of the crime scene. A case where people and they go to police, you go for go take state, you go for go make complaint, then get waiting and go say, hey, well, we not get paper and pen. No. That's not coded language. The police not get paper and pen for taking statement. In this day and age, they can even get dictaphone where they talk. Then the other thing again, sometimes some man case go to police, he will go complain. The one way he go complain about, come back, can make the arrest him because he get connection or instructions from above. So how do we make the police, according to the slogan, a force for good, for protect the lives and property of the people? Over to you, sir.
Yeah. What you made us see of late, the trend we made us see, a good example where we can copy from, and we tend for shy away from good copying, and then when we want for copy, we want to do the right thing. Kenya get a lot, and I think Mr. Mengot, you probably go address some of that issue there too. But Kenya get a lot of good examples we can follow in our justice system. I was not anticipating the playing of a video, but it's a very persuasive or illustrative video by the current president of Kenya, where they address the police and they tell them which of them function as society. Now, the Kenya police was as corrupt as we are. But there comes a time when you get leaders then begin for hands together and say, we cannot afford this vicious cycle of nonsense where we continue to race to the bottom, because we know say it can only get worse, it can never get better unless we, the leadership, begin to take some serious look and responsibility. So the Kenyans then come around, and then the current president of Kenya was saying to the police, look, police on a job are for protect everyone. Everyone. The government, the opposition, the party in power, as individuals. You are not the police to protect the party in power. That's what you job that one day. You're not entrusted with any responsibility. Like how would you do when you criticize the president? You get the CID could just say they invite you in a CID because you say something negative about the president. That's what we call weaponization of the police. That's a total abuse and misuse of police power. Okay? And this is not to go on for a long time. This is no aspersion or criticism or reflection on the current government. I mean, this is go on at the Nkuruma government, it go on at the Stevens government, it go on at the Kaba government, it go on at the Magai government. This has been going on for a long time. But Kenya themselves, we're experiencing the same thing, but they know say there has to be a stop to this kind of practice if you want to improve the system. So they make it clear. Police stay out of politics. Police stay out of party politics. Your obligation is no more to the political party where they in power than to the ordinary citizen. So they don't put them back in the line of work. So the police not feel that obligated. And that means if you're a policeman, you cannot openly go out there to demonstrate support for any political party. You're not supposed to, because you're a civil servant. And if you're not a civil servant, you do your work without any undue influence, and you know for sure fear or favor. Now that policy they will need for put back now a police system to start with. Let them know waiting on the job description, because now you get policemen openly where they express support for a particular party in power. And I don't know how, if this government is serious. This is how I'm, like one of the callers say, say, we're not serious. Because if we're really serious, how can we have a policeman openly going out there saying they support a political party and thinks that that's all right? And the most disappointing thing sometimes, when you say that, you get certain people that were supposedly intellectuals who will say, well, APCB to do that. But two things wrong with that.
Not only that, recently we see a video where a certain division of the police, where they call OSD, Operational Services Division, mostly women police officer, then wear their police combat trunk, then they party colors. They actually march in support of the sitting government.
Yeah.
Where we also get a situation where we will see people and they go demonstrate in front of the police training school. So they will get party card. Now they forget opportunity for go police. But then, just to give you an example of the Kenyan system, not so just waiting the speech ready, because I did Kenya. I've been there during the reform process. Because it starts from after them get them problem in 2007. For 2 weeks. 9 and change. To the extent that the IGP, the Inspector General of Police, when then they appoint him, then they interview him, then they broadcast the interview for let people then watch out in the interview. Then they also ask before they appoint him if anybody know anything. Just like when you go married, when they read the bonds with their church, we say if anybody know any reason why they not go join them two people here together, let's speak. Now the same principle Kenya adopt. When they appoint the police inspector general, they say, if anybody know any reason why this man not for lead with police, bring the evidence. Because integrity counts. Not just the police, it also goes for the anti-corruption commissioner, It also goes for the Chief Justice and several other people that were supposed to protect the interests of the country. So that is the issue. And now that's we get for address. So I want, because we get time, we get lots of go. I want, if you are round up, then we can go to the next topic in we all 5 area, when access to employment and economic activity. Because that the two go together, access to employment and economic activity. Over to you, sir.
Okay. The only last thing I want to talk about the police. Now the policy, then practice. Okay. We get situations. These are all some of the things then we want the country for improve. Because it's nothing we don't go on for a long time. Me and you get dispute over a piece of land. By all accounts, it's strictly a civil matter, not a criminal matter. But me claim say, let me get the land, where I see you na the land, I go get police for can run you out of the land. And the police are not trained for, let them tell and say, no, this they beyond with power or jurisdiction.
Not only police, sir, they bring soldier now concept. Soldiers.
Indeed, now then they bring soldier man there. So when you look at all and you ask yourself, but how will people expect the system to get better? Because these are only worsening the situation. So now then they bring soldier man. Well, what am a man get for do with two people and get dispute over a piece of land? Other than a misuse of power, an assumption of power where a man not get, policeman not get. And we think say the system is improving. And if we follow that trend there, we think say now the best thing they for left for we grand picking them and generations unborn, then you get situation where you get people that will get a cabal, will get a clique. Where they go chief people in land? They say the person go chief 10 town lots. First thing the person does, they call the police chief, say, hey, I get 3 town lots for you on that land. So na chief amo, but then you self know say we can't put resistance. So I want to let you send police anytime I see them. How are we helping the system? You know? So the finger pointing is not only with the police. Then you go to the police, you go complain. Or we're not getting any specific, like Mr. Mengot mentioned, when you get police matter, like an emergency, or chief manager broke yours, you call, say, hey, people in the driver broke into my house. How serious are we? We're not going to get an emergency vehicle, work for them in that place there in a matter of minutes. We can't be serious. Where we begin for say, well, sorry, we're too far, we're not getting motor car for good. These are things that should not happen if we're serious about running government. You know, these are things that should not happen. Security is a major foundation for a progressive government. So then sometimes when you go to police, like Mr. Mengot say, then go tell you, say, well, we need pen, we need paper, we need this, we need that. Are we serious that the system is going to work by bringing it down, further and further down? And we all know, say, when we check the system from the Whitman, there was no such nonsense. So why do we take pride in destroying Waiting and Giwi and making sure we left nothing constructive for generation unborn? And we're proud of it. And the most annoying thing, then they will begin to tell you, say, oh, somebody were in charge of internal this or internal security, they get 6 PhDs. What is, that to me is an abuse to the intelligence of the people. Because you don't need all the PhDs and they just need common sense. I know some of the people that were in power now, some of the people that were in power were much too young. They're not even experienced colonial days because they were kids. Some of them were not even born. And then they run the country now. So they're not going to understanding of what the system used to be like and how efficient the system was. You know? And so they cannot relate to a lot of the things that we talk. But I want to remind these people that we once upon a time, when we get very few degree holders, we barely had any PhDs. The system was running on all cylinders perfectly. Now, corrupt motive will start for begin break the infrastructure of a good government. And we continue that to this day, now they lead to all of this. Okay? But if we're really serious, so all the manifesto there, what you like me to say, they're not get meaning. They're not what the paper they're written on. Because these guys, these are the things they should be debating. Let people able to ask them questions, like go through the talk, whatever they campaign public debate. Now ask them specific questions. You talk about justice. Okay, tell me, do you understand the current condition of Pademba Road Prison? Do you know how many prisoners in there? Do you know how they eat out and sleep? Do you know how many times they feed them a day? Do you know how many times when they get sick? Are they getting serious attention? So if you're going to be a policymaker, you write manifesto, people need to question you and anything in there. But we not get the opportunity for do that in there. So these guys just come up with them, love to think them. As soon as they win election, they turn the other way around. So we get for be paying attention to them. The police, until we get the police out of politics, we will never see the light of day. There is no political theory that will enable us to see the light of day. It's not possible. As long as we continue to make the police corrupt, I'll make part of the police functions as corrupting the police, then we can only be racing to the bottom. It's only when we begin to get some leaders, we begin to talk about law and order and be serious about it. Then there will be a good indication that we're heading somewhere, But until then, there's a whole lot more I can say about the police. Almost everything you think of is just wrong with the system. When
Okay,
people
sir.
and take somebody when people and take somebody go police, you get connection. Otherwise, that person the way you say go police, go turn around and take you go police. So that said, let me return on that back to Mr. Mengo.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed, my co-host. We get Bokuna the Shukublai, but we go promise to listeners and say there 5 points here we don't put so. If we're able done on today, we will continue because next week we will get a surprise guest for you. That surprise guest is possibly within the political scene. We will help with. So the second area we want to look at now access to economic activity. What do they say access to economic activity? If we look at all the party that manifest, they talk about youth unemployment. But when they talk about youth unemployment, not only you get different forms. You get unemployment, you get underemployment, right? And why youth? Because 60% of the population, young people, them. Now go back to the two party then, because one of we call it, they say, the previous party been talk about youth farms. We be no inquiry. What's in the youth farms and they? Well, for encourage them, let them go plant, then they. They were then out wash car. For God's sake, when you look at we road them, some of them road they did not tar. Then we get problem with water. If you want to create youth unemployment, you want to reduce it. Now car wash you go get it. For let them wash car. Almost people never wash car. Then we get the other set of youth based on our education system. Every year we get graduation. We see all them graduation them. We from IPAM, from Kuwait College, from Jala, from University of McKinney. You see it all. And they can so happy. They come with all their degree. We get all kind of degree then at mass communication, peace and conflict studies, social services. Not business. Let me make up. But your first degree, not only a measure of say you don't go university. But what they create that degree, all their graduates here, who side then they end up? We get employment opportunity for them. Then, no, just talk. We talk that age group because when you talk about 18 to 35. Let we look at the one they wake up after that. From that 35 till you reach 60. Bearing in mind life expectancy of country na 50. You understand? So if you 35, you get 20 years on average for survival. So how do these people get access to the economic activity? Whether you want to be self-employed, whether you want to be employed, women are the largest employer, even within the government system. So this not way concern every Sierra Leonean. So you get to be part of the economic activity as an employer, as an unemployed, as a businessman, so that you are able to get money for look after your family there and the other one. So from this introduction, sir, we see what happen. What thing you take on this access to we call it economic activity, not just employment?
Well, you and I get a brief discussion earlier. There are some phrases or some words that are being used that I just think say I consider them pro forma. Then just use them. Now generic usage, they don't get much meaning. Because when we talk about youth unemployment, it's quick for begin for assume say, oh, unemployment beyond the youth category is okay, satisfactory, all is fine. Because we emphasize youth unemployment. And then in discussion with you earlier, you said anywhere from 18 to 30 something, 38 or so. Okay.
35.
35 years old. But we do know, say, there be above and beyond that age group there, from 35 to 45 to 55, there is almost a 90% or more unemployment. So why is it that something is not being said about those people? In fact, some of these people are at that age where they're picking and get ready for go college. The one that were in their 40s and 50s, where they're picking and get ready for go high school, where they're picking and get ready for do a lot of things. Those are not being addressed. And the reason for that is because we get this way of just copying. Now, statement I know we don't know in our other country, youth unemployment. So we say for youth unemployment. Instead of we talk about employment generally and then break it down. Because that's how we know things in America are. Yeah, what would they talk about employment? Then they break it down to, then they bring it down to color, to age. But then they start with the general thing about unemployment or employment. But they totally do away with one category. We just talk about youth unemployment. And with all the talk, which is I don't understand, the reason why the president gets ministers them. Now, for people who will somehow get some degree of expertise in putting a team together for achieve anticipated goals. So now, if you get a minister of labor or whatever we get back home, we not get no expertise in labor-related matters, who probably has no concept of what being running an organization of any size is when they're ahead. So what policy do we expect them to implement? When we get a situation where a president not they appoint people based on qualification and the person in potential for the country, but as a payback, patronage to that person, they say, well, okay, the child be broke, but they help me, so I go make a minister of external affairs. I go make a chief minister. I go make an internal affairs minister. These are all things that would hurt you. You can do all them political patronages in there for people who have been helpful to you, but not to minister a job you to get. And these are high profile and jobs that would make a difference in an administration. There are many other little jobs or important jobs, not as well known, where you could give them people and they who are helpful to you towards the process. So nobody's saying anything is wrong with that. But it's a whole lot wrong with just creating divisions in terms of more bureaucracy, you know, for then the one what we get will not be able to manage them. Look at the land management situation for right now. So what they talk about the economy. It's kind of hard to put your finger on anything serious. You get a little factory here, you get a little factory there. To this day, when one factory open, it's a big deal. In a country of 60 some years of independence, the opening of a factory should not be a big deal anymore. What we should be talking about is the amount of hirees or how many people in that company they will employ. So when a company comes, we get an established company. When that company start talking about 2, 3, 4, 10,000 employment or employees, then we're talking business now, you know? So, and I note the other thing I noticed say, then when we open a factory, there is no trend, no track record telling the public if in a government private partnership, how is that company doing? What is that company doing in terms of exporting of the goods? Watching at the market, you know, watching at the employees, then pay rate, watching how much profits that company they make. So we get 2, 3 companies, then factories, then Sierra Leone. All these things are supposed to be secret. Then you will get a government who will come and say, oh, we open 5 factories. So we're just playing too many games. We're playing too many games. So the reality is when you look at APC, SAPP with the manifesto, I mean, well, like Mr. Mengot said, manifesto is just a statement of intention, technically, if at all you intend for saying that, but a statement of a presumed intention of what you may do if you come to power. It's not committal, you know, so you're not committed to if you not follow that. But I would suggest that if we can begin for just focus on one area, you know, we will do a whole lot better. At the end of any term of any government, they will be able to show 1 or 2 or 3 areas where they go proudly say, when we can have power, now be the condition this. When we're not in a power, these are the conditions. But a lot of these things are not going to be achieved, like we're saying, because they're all related. If police is still going to be in politics, army man is going to be in politics, discipline no matter, you know, and false documents are going to be issued to Auditor General, who are we fooling? We're not going to get anywhere.
Okay, sir.
So
Things again, as we say, we wait to listen the one talk, because like we say, manifesto now for waiting and intent for do, but also we want to analyze, because our members say this present government, this president, say in on already it been promised now the manifesto last time A to Z. I just want to focus on this. I don't want to just look at employment and say, I talk about access to economic activity for let you able to better yourself. Because 2 of the things that this government talk about, now free quality education and human capital development. We get them in the free quality education, human capital development. But now look at, there's a relationship between education, I would say, remember the days there will be a trade center then.
there you go.
Right.
There you go.
We get trade center then. But then when we create this education, human capital development, we get for look at in relation to one produce the industry then. There get for be a link between industry with development, agriculture, and employment, because the next one we'll talk about for follow the trend now food security, because what they try for say yeah is basically this: if you provide the opportunity, and let's take technical education, because I'm very from technical education. We're talking about with plumbers, with carpenter, with mechanics, you know, with builders.
Amazing.
For a start, right? Now, we get a stadium where the Chinese, them, build for we years ago. They go into disrepair. What do? We go back to the Chinese them for Kanduam. Imagine if we train builders them. We not get a maintenance culture in our system. You understand? There's no maintenance culture. Even with building them, you go to the main office and you building. Sometimes the lifts not the function. So if you create the opportunity, they let people then get technical education, link them to within the needs of the society. Now, very important. Now they talk about. Not to all man work. Some man want for let it work for himself. By the way, we'll get one caller on the line. Lord, take that caller there for us. It's a natural break.
Hello,
Good
caller.
evening
What's your
from my
name?
side. This is Twitter Mustafa from Leicester.
Okay, Mr.
Good evening
Mustafa.
again. Thank you very much for bringing the show again. Me to these manifestos, I think, well, now because the voters then are saloon, not the vote on issues. The people are not taking for granted, or the voters for granted. That's why they just write down anything they want to write down. Because when you talk of all of these things, first of all, you have to look at the revenue base of the country. Which has alone go pull money even for create 100,000 jobs, let alone 500,000 jobs in 5 years. I'm talking about the 5 years. Which has alone government they get money for create 100,000 jobs. They don't have that money. As long as the sacrifices are not made for let saloon government invest money into industry, into our raw material. These are all something. They say, then go just look at the people. They say, oh, my rights are there. Don't make the promises. The last promises that were made, was anybody held accountable? When the government, the president will not say, or even rest, now 200,000, now 600,000. Nobody's holding them accountable. People are dancing everywhere. Some people are not spending the future of dancing and eating. They cook for them, they eat. As they eat and sweat, so they don't forget the problem. So the people then go write anything into that document for presenter. They go write vague statement. All of the truth manifesto. These are vague promises. They say we no promise you to make commitment. Commitment is even worse than promise. You say you commit yourself to the youths, say they will give them job. It's the same as promising. Then you therefore show them the way how they go about that commitment where you don't make into that document. So to me, don't blame the politicians. The politicians they don't get the people in the corner where they want them. They go on the fair, they say you don't undersweat person. You put them in face on Pasansan, you dey over and back. So he didn't agree, you know, able to do nothing. This is how it is. Any day we are ready for listen to these people, we are ready for dance for these people. How serious and ever take una? These people will not bring a document way full of explanation. Say now so and so and so we go do for make we solve this problem. They will not because they know say they will ask them questions about that kind of thing, that kind of thing. And now they go to stations because now the worst thing this way I don't see again. They go to face journalists. Unfortunately, even the radio station and TV station they have so loud. Look at what AYB do for that mayoral debate. They pull out because Gento and the SLPP they don't buy the station then. Every day between their channel, what do they see? Gento, President Bill. Now you know what they on AYV. Asthma for radio democracy. They just have done before I ask her. It tell us in 3 months' time they go stabilize the economy. Hey, bro, you know get the country for ask us, Mister, we don't give 5 years for solve this problem. You know solve it. They can't do more for 3 months. You just sit down there and relax. And now anybody who come on the SLP side, what do you want to do? If they take over the studio, he tell the girls the way he will ask questions them. He send them away. And even when they're asking questions, he's interrupting. So we will not even have the media who will scrutinize these people, making them tell me more into details about these manifestos. Anyway, I just tell I give you some contribution about it. Thank you very much for the show.
Well, Mr. Mustafa, we always very much appreciate
Thank you.
your wonderful, valuable, or invaluable contribution to we discussions on a weekly basis. So we thank you very much.
No problem,
Is,
bro.
Hello,
is there another
caller.
call on the line?
Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you call from?
Yeah, Mr.
Hello.
Abdul again. Yeah, hello, yeah, now.
Okay, Mr. Abdul. Talk a little louder. Somehow you sound
Okay,
kind of low.
sorry. Yeah, I just want to make an addendum to what you want to say inter earlier. I subscribe to the una explanation about the economy and linking it with human capital development and the so-called free education. I don't they go na Twitter now for the past short term. This just some of the few weeks ago. And I will say Sierra Leone economy for the past 55 or so years, it's nothing to write home about. And now if the problems are there, and we all know the problem, that we are a consumption economy. We are not producing. And I believe so that the reason that make even the exchange rate here in your house, when we born at Twitter up to this time, if they say it's always going up for the past 55 years, when we don't notice, it is always going up. And government in, government out, they are always promising that we are going to change the economy. The cost of living will come down. People's standard of living go high. And they will reduce poverty. But these are all far-fetched dreams. But they can't produce social and social jobs. We not say government not only for produce jobs for everybody, because but we know Salon for sure, government is the highest employer. Government go and employ more for military, police, the fire force, the prison department, the teachers, nurses. So government is always the highest employer. They are always employed. You're not supposed to be that with it. Now the reason that make them can put themselves in a tight corner where they can always say, well, they can't produce this number of jobs. Because not only we're not going to produce that number of jobs. Rather, now the private sector, now they create the enabling environment for let them can produce then jobs and this. Government only go just supplement within the private sector they produce, but not, that is the other way around. Not only within the binary so. Then regarding the unemployment, because we get as soon as rightly say, we get unemployment, we get underemployment. Then we have those who do not even want to work. These are the three categories where we get at Sierra Leone. Unemployed, those who are unemployed, they want to work. Those who are underemployed, they are working, but they are not getting the living wage. And those who do not even want to work. Now, let me tell you something. Those who do not want to work, we have a lot of them in Sierra Leone. When they don't want to do nothing, no matter policies where governments go put for let them get work, then it is sure. Me get members of the family when they don't want to do nothing. They want just to sit down and call you or say send for me this. Even when you encourage them to go learn something, I will pay. They don't want to do that. So we have a lot of them people in that category. They when no one do anything at all, but they always want to live. So these are the categories of people where we always say, hey, job Sunday for the youth, job Sunday for the youth, job Sunday for the youth. Granted, I believe the government initiates the CVET, technical and vocational, something like that, some few years back. I think this government in the first 3 years. Then say those kids who left school, like you left school from 1, you left school class 6, you go do 70 or 80% practical and 30% theory. Just for encourage them, for let them go back, let them go learn something. But I will tell you, some of them but some of them not take advantage of that. So in that instance, I don't think we can blame any government for that. Any government, be it this now way or the last one, the last former government, you cannot blame any government for that. Just the person himself now to get the willingness to I want learn something. I know people them, I know members of my own family where now then accepted the initiative say would they learn something. And now we are making it up. So we have lots and lots of these people. And with the WASCA, the way Mr. Mengo said, I believe say jobs will be provided for various strata of society. Just as I said, there are those who do not want to learn anything. So for those category of people, you cannot just say you are going to create office work for them. Or we want them to go into the middle level manpower job. But some of them don't want to learn anything. So what do you create for them? And you want them to be gainfully employed. So sometimes you create those little things for them to be gainfully employed, so that at the end of the day, they are also earning something. I'm not defending government party for creating these car wash, but I feel so, because you also have the fishing project and other projects with them farming, where they say them create. So, but we have a lot of this we compatriots them. We no one learn anything at all. But they are always saying, government not play a job for me. The women and go say, me man want work. Where you ask them, ask them, which you man learn? He say no learn nothing. But then which work you want to do? For the past, we don't born as people. For the past 50 or more years, we get them category of people there where not so eager for being noble. So I just say for that make new contribution and stop so far. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Mengo, I turn it over to you.
Well, he said it all. And
Yeah.
again, just to continue, because given the time, we have two more areas we want to consider. Now, that idea again, we are come back with, say, we not get maintenance culture. Let give some example for other countries. You know, Sierra Leoneans are not lazy people. Think about we where they car abroad. If you ask Sierra Leoneans, we car abroad, nobody not get for tell you, say, for fence on team for work. Because yeah, now weekly economy some place, not a monthly. You get for pay rent by week. If you get light, you get for top up your light. So you are forced to do some things. Like then technicians all they talk. I mean, I don't go Cyprus. Why I don't see Africans the way we go Cyprus. Then they go sit on side the way they carry and get them tool bag. Who don't want to go do farming, who don't want to go do house repairs, who want to go do cleaning. The Kenya is the same thing. They call them fundi. Fundi, that means they're a tradesman. So first of all, we have to create that environment. Say, look where property they're all dilapidated, both government and personal property. So if we actually get that maintenance culture there, we can encourage people them for trade as trades people them, so they could be self-employed. So now that we get for talk about. These are the solutions we get for look for. So I think so I can go now to the third area where all man they talk about that. Bele mercy. Bread and butter business.
Yum, yum.
The manifesto they talk about food security. We're looking about food security. Again, what does food security mean? That's the key question. What do they produce? Can we feed ourselves? You remember in the past, right? Even in Freetown, people let me get small garden behind the yard. We then go plant them small thing. Me say where I been there Freetown, I been dey plant then jackato then thing and they we want to I can take and go sell give them market man them. So one unique country. And why unique? Based on the travels in Africa, we just focus and say the average Salon man, if you not eat rest, in order eat. And when we they grow up, Salon mean they export rest. For God's sake, we spend according to 250 million US dollars importing rice. Right? What about other food? Check with neighbors in Nigeria and other places. What about cassava? What about cocoyam? What about sweet potato? All lentil, and they say, first of all, we have to look at with dietary intake, right? I'm not a meat eater, right? For God's sake, why is we for the import with the import chicken? With the import chicken, with the import egg, need foreign exchange, right? So these are the things so when they talk about food security, first of all, it come back to education first. Teach people the diet pattern. No, not just arrest the no. Gary na a savior, right? Gary na a savior. Have we increased our cassava production? Right? We have to look at growing, even when you want to do farming. The other thing that we have to look at, of course, farming, agriculture, and all that thing, you can't farm without adequate water supply, proper irrigation, right? You can't farm, even if the person farm upline, again, small farm then. How will they pull that in goods day from that farm day to the place where, if now, outside they go sell, yeah, the roads, rural roads, because you get for look at rural roads, you link with farming. In the past, no look at what you been get, and I think saying a day I go bring you kind inside. We will get selling produce market in board. We will get cooperatives. We will get cooperatives, right? I think so. We get cooperative banks. These are the systems we put we put together. I don't go other countries, Zambia, Kenya. Then get this cooperative and get this bank. They invest in agriculture. Zambia is a landlocked country, but it fits over 7 or 8 countries around the Southern African country. So how do we get this thing to go? First, the education in terms of dietary needs. How do we support us? How do you provide finance? As you know, you've been on there, you papa been there for this business, actually in a work. So take it back in time, take it back in history. Don't know how we improve the system.
All right, thank you very much. With respect to growing up in Upper Bambara Chiefdom, Kalang District, where I was fortunate to have attended the RC school, Roman Catholic school, because that was the only school they had in town. But there was some fortune for the area in the sense that we had the train running. So because we had the railroad was a major government employer for, I believe, thousands. I want to guess thousands, but I don't have an accurate statistics. I wouldn't say hundreds of people, because the Sierra Leone Railway was nationwide. And because of the way it was structured, from Freetown to Songo, to Moyamba, to Mano, to Bo, to Kenema, to Yomandu, to Daru, to Segbima, and on and on and on and on, to Penembu. There were people who resided in areas that the government designated as railway compound. Bo had a very wide established railway compound, huge, and so was Freetown. So Bo could very well have had a much bigger area, when that was considered to be part of railway compound for the locomotives as well as the people in way operate the. So because of the railroad, companies, very well established companies, foreign companies like PZ, and some of the people in the power today, people within the government structure, they may have never heard of their companies yet. SCOA, CFAO, PZ, Agenet, These were all GBO Olivans, and a few others. They were spread throughout the country, all the way to Pendembu. So, because that's how the farmers were able to get them products to be sold to these companies that were dealers, the government issued them license, PZ, CFAO, SUA, they all were licensed produce dealers who in turn sold the produce when they buy the coffee and the cocoa and the palm kernel from the local farmer. They in turn go dry and some more, increase the quality, and then sell them to the company, who in turn sold it to the Sierra Leone Produce Marketing Board. Because in those days, the Produce Marketing Board had a monopoly on the exporting of them goods then they. So I had the good fortune. In those days, my dad was a produce dealer. Know how for bag, cacao, how for dry them, and the cacao, then they grade them, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. So because of that, the farmers then, they were able to organize them into what you call a cooperative. This is a group of farmers. I remember na Penembu, na Vama Road, na the office be there way out of town, where the farmers were put into this organization because when a seasonal farming we get, coffee season, cacao season, so we're not get year-round type of farming. So when money no day, these cacao farmers or coffee farmers were given loans for sustain them during the period where the crop they not be produce anything. So the cooperative them they teach them how for organize, how for put the money in the cooperative, where like here we say credit union. So we had that, they had that going. So the farmers were a very integral part of the entire agricultural process in the country. And because of the railroad, even the railroad had to be supplemented by lorries or trucks. You see, because the farmers were producing so much of coffee and cocoa that even the train, now they're not be able to get their product there to Freetown fast enough. So there were trucks who were being subcontracted from Penembu all over the country, Kailaun. In fact, Sierra Leone was producing so much produce in the Kailaun district area, where you do pass maybe Kailaun. All we produce were being smuggled into Liberia. Actually, there was a large ring of smugglers, the Kwendu Biodu area, where they smuggled with coffee and cocoa them into Liberia. I don't know that much about Guinea. So we've always had the potential. The problem has always been management and foresightedness or foresight.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I see you've talked a lot about. There are two issues because this all come under agriculture. There is that part of we export, agro-based export. We can bring foreign exchange inside the country. And there's also the issue of growing what we eat. Like the thing that we eat, how for producing a tongue. When that issue, they me feel to say, when then they talk about food security, now for make sure say, you remember sometime in Europe here, there was a lot of arguments where the Europeans have been getting their food banks. They produce so much for consume that they may get bank where they keep them. Again, if you take upline from my knowledge, right? Like when people then plant cassava soup, then get that cassava where they can put, I think say they can put it up at the kitchen where during the season, where much not day, and that cassava they then go pull now boil for it. So these are the sort of things we are talking about. The cash crop behind, but then when we grow what we eat, not only for Guam, encourage the farmers for Guam. Now the supply chain, how would they get them from farm to market to the consumer? So this is something we want the government to focus on. And we don't get much time left, but let's go on the last part of this discussion. We're very important before we round up. We know say we don't talk about justice, we don't talk economic activity, we don't talk about agriculture and food security. Now I think say the one we go finish this program with now the well-body business, health. Why we bring this talk? Let's put it in context. And to the politician and now, like Mr. President now, even in convoy, where they travel go work every day, you get 2 ambulances a convoy. Yeah, now short distance from lodge to state house, you get 2 ambulances there where they be now. Now when they see accident happen, me and the transport man. When accident happen, then in all of the health system, they get for transport people in Okada and Keke for go hospital where they cause more damage. Not only that, we talk man them na parliament. Then they give them now $5,000 every year for can take treatment abroad. They say no do. We forgo give them. The last government been count with maternal, been count with focus on maternal health. Free medicine for them come their access. The World Bank and other people encounter with system where they call cost recovery. Where they go buy medicine, then they give the government medicine, then they sell them to people at subsidized price. So that well body business is important. Now look at hospitals there now. Current hospital then built during the colonial days. Now the biggest teaching hospital. Things like oxygen, a problem. For instance, all the inside the hospital chain, even when you don't die, you're subject to abuse. Because we see one video where they go down where the mortuary, no get electricity. They the body then did it. Some man get for go take him body, go bury him. So when they talk about them people are within a village, the mama them and the under 5, where sometimes the nearest clinic now about 15-20 kilometers. So how do we solve this problem? Health should be a priority. We can say health is wealth. So the politician them, they don't talk about, they go take the big words, but the Millennium Development Goals. Yeah? Access to affordable health care. Accessing the care is 1. The quality of care na 2. The affordability na 3. So we think say this well body business na priority. They not for just tell we no more. This government talk we about that boss. So how we go improve the health of the people then? So this health na a serious issue within all the manifesto. So now that's why round up with say let's consider well body business. It's very important. I get a friend recently, we get serious health challenge. They get for put on a plane, attach oxygen to them for fly and go Ghana. And what about the one they were able to go Ghana? The last time we get accident to involve tanker where people then born. Government said and they establish bonds units. We don't get bonds units. Okada, the people then they get accident na Okada, broke a foot. We don't get proper orthopedic treatment and all that thing. This is not the thing that we expect from politicians and for tell we. And let people then listen and see challenges they will get. Now this will hand up for politicians. So with that, I want to say rub mouth on this talk small when I will body business before we will close this program. And next week we'll talk about the main thing when the economy and how to manage with country. So over to you, sir, on this well body business.
Yeah. I always link the well body business when I have what we call generally public health, because I always link them with affordable housing. Sierra Leone,
Yeah.
I don't know for all citizens, but Sierra Leone are one of the few countries we know of where you could get a $500,000, maybe $1 million house, next to which you get what you call pan body all over the place. So they talk about health. You go in a Bay Area, Suzanne's Bay, pan body. You go in a Bome, pan body. You go by some areas, then bridges, under bridges, people and live there. And we're not saying foresee how that they affect the public health. One thing we will not realize, mostly the pan body people, them, now then they sell a good many of the things they will buy and eat. So if we are concerned about public health, in other words, I'm saying we cannot divorce ourselves from the less fortunate in our country. So when we see government more interested in building quarters for military officers, which I think is a noble venture, but I think a more noble venture would have been building affordable housing. And the word affordable, because if somebody wanted to make 50 or they only make 50,000 leon a month, you go build a house where you want to sell to them for 100,000 US dollars. You're wasting your time. You not build a house there for in your own kind of person. So we're not even taking into account the linkage between public health and affordable housing. That not account the lack of facility, like how Mr. Mengot pointed out. The accidents, in fact, there was one incident what we heard of when there was an emergency. The doctor on call was home. The doctor on call was supposedly home. Now, first of all, administratively, you cannot be the emergency doctor on your home. There should be a place provided for you, office, a place for relax, where you should be on the spot at all time if you are the doctor on duty. So an emergency medicine is a popular thing now. Well, we don't even get any such practice back home because we're way behind on everything. So we just tend not to worry with the poor. We tend not to worry with public health. You see, like they say, I mean, Connaught Hospital are supposed to be the preeminent medical facility in the country is still struggling. How can we have a system whereby the mortuary, we cannot sustain a mortuary? Electricity, we cannot maintain 24/7 electricity for a mortuary, even if the system, because people will get hosts, will get private hosts. They get 24/7 electricity. When the major power go off, the generator come on. But they get electricity at all time. So how can
And
the
so man
government...
don't get solar now. So man don't get solar.
Yeah,
For exactly. As a backup.
And then yet you get government facility where we not get either solar nor a backup generator. So I mean, this is thing what you will call intentional neglect. Because I'm not convinced that people don't know any better. They just don't care. And not only that, if we get any shame, shouldn't we be concerned? And then what is about public health? Again, now, if body then the decay, now the mortuary, it affects the environment and the public. And we know say around Connaught Hospital, there are residentials. And we don't only talk about, but we talk about just Connaught now. Let us think in terms of the fact that there are many other cities like Bo, like Kenema, Shegbema, Makeni. How are the mortuaries there maintained? So I can only think the worst, that they are not efficiently maintained. Because if we get administrators, since we own centralize everything, if now, and then you go get somebody Nabo, where they in charge of the mortuary, who is not under the supervision of the person of freedom, but we now everything is centralized, like the police. Okay? So these are some of the problems. We need for look at and try for restructure, but not for restructure with system, just for change, which is what we're doing mostly. When I was growing up, we get commissioner of police. It was great name, great position. But one for Makata, oh, inspector general sound better. But what's the difference between inspector general and commissioner of police? We're not call that, that's not substantive change. That's cosmetic change. Add nothing to anything. So commissioner, all of a sudden, not a good name. Inspector general, because Englishman call the young policeman inspector general. So we for call with you. What's wrong with the old name, the old colonial name commissioner?
No,
Yeah.
correction, sir. We not get inspector general. We still get commissioner. Now England, we still get commissioner. We get metropolitan police commissioner.
I'm glad. So I don't know where did we get the inspector general from?
Inspector general come on from the French country and other African country.
Okay, there we go.
But Britain, we still get commissioner of police.
Well, there we go. So I'm glad for that correction there, but it makes my point. What was the essence of changing the name? And we are good at coming up with then cosmetic changes changes that do not have any meaning whatsoever, just because they are and yanda, we say forget them. Like I always advocate, like the ACC Commission, it's an unnecessary office. It's just another bureaucracy, waste of money for political patronage purpose. That's all it is. You can see what is every government will come, if in a serious office, why every government will come not maintain continuity of the commissioner. As soon as a new government can, and it change right away. Because it's a major, it's a political symbol. And we take the ACC office as a serious office, and we say one run country, when we get Attorney General's office, another area we need for change, because the Attorney General, I think under the old constitution, is still part of the cabinet, which we get so much for do. So we don't get the system in such a way where we would demonstrate, to me, would demonstrate seriousness, that we're really serious, that we really want to go forward. Because all them play player, what would they come with us to change names, internal affairs, instead of Ministry of Interior or the police, we come up with all them fancy things there, or Minister of secondary education and tertiary education and first-diary education. These are all ridiculous nonsense. We better get back to substance. Like I said last week.
Of course, my favorite one, a peace commission.
Yeah. See? So we are playing. I mean, it's too much joke, too much play. We are not serious. And these people on the commission, what do they come up with in the end? Nothing for help the country, nothing for improve the country, but a whole lot for bring the country down. And like you say, Mr. Mengot, look at what happened to this so-called human capital development. Well, what is human capital development? Now, the ability for meet people in halfway, which then your ability, God-given ability of talent and physical ability. So are we doing that? But the phrase human capital development sound very impressive. So we pick them phraseologies there from different areas and we can throw them to people. But once upon a time, you get the trade schools, you mentioned them. Then trade schools and they be the sustained with system. Somebody need to explain to me in Australia today, why is it that if you get a 2-level house, let alone a 3-level house, water pressure is a problem? Or even a one-level house, water pressure no problem. Why? Why everybody will build house, go buy extra tank for put and build a tower for yourself. Unnecessary but additional expense. And then they dig well and buy generator for pump water. How do we see that as a solution? What we know saying that then country where we live, people don't buy extra tank, they need to go dig well for pump water. So technology in a technology, if it works in America, if it works in England, if it works in Australia, it works in Sierra Leone. But we just don't assume, say, no. You know, why is it that we're still having electrical interruption? And we think, say, we'll just live with that. So, I mean, there's so much to complain about. And not one government to criticize, we talk about everybody, you know. So that's all I have to say.
I should say, in other enjoy we program, we don't slightly go over time, but we manage to cover all the topic. Continue for share we video them, and also watch we on YouTube. Tell you party them down the way no we don't see them. Refer them to them, because this now a lifetime journey. We program, we can go down memory lane, we come to the present, and then we look at the future. I go end up with one title of a famous literary man at Salon, Julissa Amadumadi, or we write that book, that famous book, No Past, No Present, No Future. So I think saying that dies straight to the day. But we were able to change the narrative. So me, when I the co-host, I go hand over to me other colleague at the say tata, and then I get a blessed week free of accident, and then I get well body.
And I say the same thing to the rest of the audience. Thanks for listening. Thanks for our weekly contribution and participation. So we look forward for seeing Una, discussing with Una next week. Until then, goodbye.